comment because there's nothing here. Here you come in.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming out. I'm Detective Lieutenant Mustafa Beasy. Standing here with me is Southfield Chief of Police Alvin V. Barron and Detective Sergeant Jared Womble. Today, Chief Barron will update the public regarding a larceny for motor vehicle investigation that occurred at Village Club on Franklin and resulted in a police pursuit in the city of Southfield. I ask that you please hold all your questions until the conclusion of this press briefing and turn off or mute all cell phones and other electronic devices. A press packet is available on the back table, which includes a USB drive of all the files presented here today. For record-keeping purposes, we ask that you complete the media sign-in sheet. Without further delay, Chief Barron.
And thank you, Lieutenant. And as I always say, we can continue to say, I thank our media for being here. Anytime there's an injured officer simply going out into the community doing this job, a job that the community expects them to do, it's a big deal. And I want this press conference to serve as a reminder of the dangers that our police officers put themselves in day after day after day to ensure that the expectations of the community, particularly Southfield residents, is adhered to. So we do have 2 officers that were injured, again, in the line of duty. We're very fortunate. These will be non-life-threatening injuries. They're both male officers, one 35 years old, a 6-year veteran of the Southfield Police Department, the other 24 years old, and a 1-year member of our agency. I will also mention that both these officers also serve as cadets for the Southfield Police Department. So this just shows their commitment and dedication to this agency. I also had the opportunity to speak to both officers prior to this press conference. They're both at home recovering from the injuries. Both are in great spirits. I let them know that this agency, particularly this police chief, appreciates them, and their work will not go unnoticed, putting themselves at risk, trying to apprehend individuals out in our community at 3 o'clock in the morning, stealing tires from one of our residents. And one thing I'll tell you, this community has a very high expectation that we respond and arrest individuals who steal cars, car parts. You know, it's a huge market for that. This agency has a lot of pride in the fact that we go after these individuals. You just saw us arrest individuals who were stealing AC units, apprehended them very quickly. So we have a no tolerance for thieves in Southfield. And as a result of our efforts, and these are just year-to-date stats, we've arrested 43 individuals who were found in possession of stolen vehicles, 8 individuals found attempting to steal car parts, and then 7 individuals, as we impact the business community, who failed to return rentals. So we're paying attention to individuals committing crimes, not only in Southfield, because some of these arrests extend out beyond our borders as we continue to help other agencies with their crimes. I'm going to play a 911 audio from a Southfield resident who made the initial call that this crime was occurring. You're going to hear how passionate she is. And I'm playing this audio intentionally so you hear from the community themselves their disgust at individuals who have the audacity at 3 o'clock in the morning to steal parts from a car where somebody worked very hard for their property. I'll warn you, in case you're broadcasting lies, she did utter a curse word. I left it in intentionally because I want you to hear her passion and what drives this police department to bring these suspects in custody. As I mentioned before, we're a little bit different from many agencies when it comes to car thieves. We're trained at pit maneuver. We're also trained at how to box in cars. So I bring that up because we're always going to be responsible as it relates to bringing these suspects into custody. This incident will be a little bit different because this individual drove head on into a Southfield police cruiser that was occupied by both our officers. I'm not suggesting that it was done intentionally as I look at the video, but rather reckless behavior trying to evade our officers led to these individuals crashing head-on into our police officers. Another thing I want to highlight before I get into the sequence of events, when you look at our suspects, and I do have their pictures displayed on our monitor, you see something very interesting. One is 51 years old. The other one is 31 years old. Generally, we make these arrests for these car thieves. They're generally juveniles or young adults in their 20s. But the question to you all, a question I hope you all ask, what is a 51-year-old man and a 31-year-old man doing out at 3 o'clock in the morning stealing tires from cars? And then you wonder why this agency responds the way we respond to hold these people accountable, because it's not acceptable. What kind of example are they setting? 51 years old. And so I want to continue to talk about the partnerships that we have with this great work that I read off. Not only are patrol officers in the field paying attention, using our technology, but also we have a great unit that's housed right here in Southfield, the Oakland County Auto Theft Task Force, comprised of officers from the Tri-County area to help us do surveillance, help us prepare warrant packages, and help us make these arrests as well. So a very combined effort, and this letting you know how serious we take these type of crimes. So I'm going to get into the sequence of events. We're going to show some video. We're going to show 911 audio, and just so you get a clear picture of what happened that evening. On Tuesday, July 1st, at approximately 3:10 a.m., Southfield officers were dispatched to the 27,000 block of Franklin Road, which is a Willow Pond condominiums, on a reported larceny from auto in progress. The caller advised Southfield Dispatch that several individuals were stealing tires from a blue 2024 Ford F-150, which fled southbound on Franklin Road. The suspects were driving a black 2024 Chrysler Pacifica minivan. And generally, thieves use minivans to load and conceal car parts. The minivan was rented from Enterprise on June 14th and was scheduled for return on Saturday, June 5th. Southfield officers located the Chrysler Pacifica and engaged in a vehicular pursuit southbound Telegraph from 10 Mile. As the suspect vehicle made a right turn onto the northbound Carlton, officers observed a tire exit the vehicle. The tire struck the pavement, bounced into the air, and landed in a grassy area. The tire was one of the tires stolen from the Ford F-150. It was their attempt to discard the evidence as they were fleeing from our officers. As Southfield officers blocked traffic on 9 Mile in Carlton, the suspect drove off the roadway, across the lawn, and re-entered 9 Mile Road. As the suspect vehicle approached the area of 9 Mile and Lasser, they observed the presence of fully marked police vehicles with their lights and sirens activated. The driver, later identified as Trachawn McCaa, slammed on the brakes and made an abrupt turn onto Plum Hollow, where he began driving over the lawn of adjacent businesses. He appeared as if he was going to turn onto Willow Pond condominiums. However, he continued driving southbound in the northbound lanes of traffic and collided head-on with a fully marked Southfield police cruiser occupied by our two heroes. The airbags deployed and our vehicle received extensive front-end damage. The suspect, McCaa, exited the vehicle and fled on foot. He jumped into a pond and began swimming away from officers. And you're going to see that in the video. Southfield officers ran to the other side of the pond and observed the suspect re-enter the pond as he continued to flee. Southfield officers gave loud verbal commands for him to exit the pond, at which time he was taken to custody without incident. Responding officers also located the second suspect, later identified as Prince Madison, as he was lying down in the rear of the suspect vehicle. He crawled out of the vehicle and was arrested also without incident. As I mentioned again, our officers sustained 9 life-threatening injuries. Both are expected to make a full recovery. as you will see in the video, and to highlight their dedication and commitment. Both officers, despite their injuries, remained focused and even participated in the apprehension of both suspects. When you look at the criminal histories of both these individuals, McCaa has a history of felony resisting and obstructing, felony larceny from a motor vehicle, felony receiving and concealing, and also felony breaking and entering motor vehicle. Madison, felony for aggravated assault, attempting to commit great bodily harm, felony weapons possessions, felony assault, felony larceny from a motor vehicle, felony receiving and concealing, and also felony malicious destruction of property. So you see the extensive history of these individuals. What may even answer my own question of why a 51-year-old man is out committing crimes at 3 o'clock in the morning. So as a result, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office did issue charges on both individuals. The driver, Trachawn McCaa, again, 31 years old, resident of the city of Detroit, charged count 1, larceny from a motor vehicle, count 2, flee and elude, 3rd degree. He was given a $50,000 cash bond, slated to have a GPS tether to remain on him upon his release. And suspect number 2, Prince Madison, 51 years old, also a resident of the city of Detroit, charged with count 1, larceny from a motor vehicle, given a $5,000 cash bond, and also put on a GPS tether. So at this time, we're going to start off with the 911 audio. Again, caution, one curse word, again, that I intentionally left so you can hear the frustration from this caller. And what I would tell you, this is not even the caller's vehicle. She's out heading to work or either returning home from work, and she see this in progress, immediately report it. I applaud her for getting involved. Sometimes people just drive right past. She got involved, and our officers in a very close proximity were to respond accordingly. So we'll start with the 911 audio.
Tuesday, July 1st, 2025, 3:07 a.m., 20 seconds.
911. I just caught a client literally right in front of my face. These people just pulled up from my apartment. I stay at the Village Club apartment, and they just sold 2 cars from an F-150. I just witnessed it. And you know, they're pulling off, so I'm gonna watch them from right here. They're going down. Right now, they're going down Swanson Road, going towards. They're in a Pacifica, a black Pacifica. They're speeding, they're going down. And I'm just like walking down, because I stay over here. I caught them selling 2 sets of tires for somebody at F-150. I heard them sirens go off, and I'm going towards my house, and they literally just rolled past me. So it's like, I need you motherfuckers to get caught, because y'all see me, you know? They're going down Swanson Road, like, you know where Franklin is, and it goes to Swanson, so they're going towards Telegraph. They're going back towards the city. And yeah, they just stole somebody's fucking tires off their car. So they're southbound on Franklin or 14 Telegraph.
All right, now we're going to transition to both body cam and dash cam video, where you'll see all the things that I outlined will appear on the screen. So let's lower these lights and remind you, we're going to give you all copies of these as well. We'll go ahead and play it, Lieutenant.
Keep 9 tires being drawn up with them.
Pressure, I got primary northbound. You can probably 54 miles an hour. Then you come out of the washer, so make the washer. Red washer, you don't know how to use it. Alright, we're going to be continuing towards the washer, towards southbound washer, southbound washer.
You see him jump in the distance. We got another image there as well. Look in the rear and you see him jump in the pony. There you go right there. That's the driver. Passenger remain with the vehicle. Another vantage point, you see the impact of the collision. We're very fortunate. Again, our officers received non-life-threatening injury. Also, both suspects were treated for their injuries.
Fred Washer, goes up to this. And we're just heading towards Washer. Go southbound Washer, southbound Washer.
Southbound Washer, southbound.
And now you see both officers, despite this crash, got out of his vehicles and pursued these suspects, despite the injuries. Passenger officer, again, getting out, going after the other suspect.
One detained so far, work on second.
All right, you turn the lights back on. And right now, just show you a few photos of just the vehicle that they attacked. Is that the last photo? And that will be the last photo. So you can focus back in. I'll give you a few moments. Then we'll reconvene the press conference. One second. Okay. So again, you've seen it for yourself. The manner in which these individuals were reckless. You saw the professionalism from the Southfield Police Department. You saw two brave officers stay in the game, stay in the fight, and participate in apprehending two suspects. We received calls from our community, very thankful that this agency take these crimes very seriously and that we do pursue individuals responsibly who are involved in crimes, again, 3 o'clock in the morning in our city. And with that, I open up the floor for questions.
This neighborhood or complex or nearby complexes, this type of issue, say, recently?
Yeah, when you look at the way Southfield is designed, there are a lot of apartments, there are a lot of hotels, and so what happens is these cars are really on display because they're in unsecured areas. Coupled with the fact that, and I know our nickname is the center of it all, there's 3 freeways that run through our city. And then there's a lot of mile roads that are very popular that run through Southfield. So what happens is these individuals, again, in the wee hours of night, will come in and attempt to take advantage of the vehicles that are really vulnerable. And that's why we encourage our residents to really invest in quality alarms. If you're a homeowner with a garage, maybe put the vehicle in the garage. Do things to, make it difficult to steal your property. But to answer your question, yes, we've had issues, and that's why, again, the stats prove that these officers are monitoring these areas, and we are taking the important actions of apprehension.
Chief, I see the charges there. The counts are larceny from a motor vehicle, flee and elude 3rd degree.
Right.
Now, video clearly shows he also hits the officer head on. Is there a potential for there to be more charges added onto this alongside of what's already there because of the ramming into the police car?
Right. It is always a potential for charges to get upgraded. When you look at the video, and I believe when the prosecutor looked at it, and even I looked at it, I think they were reckless as they attempted to evade a Southfield cruiser by going on the opposite side of the road and then strike our vehicle head on. So I would like anytime additional charges, maybe for that recklessness. So that'll be something that maybe, I'm glad you brought that up, maybe I can ask the prosecutor to consider if it fits the elements of a crime.
When it comes to kind of going off of that question, obviously they have different charges based on who was driving, who was the passenger. But for something like this, because the investigation is still happening where we don't know exactly who was, quote unquote, the mastermind, is this something that's also up for interpretation if additional charges may be filed? Yeah,
like I said, investigations continue long after press conferences. Other information comes in. When you look at the rules or the laws associated with fleeing and looting, generally for any action with that vehicle, the driver is held responsible. And then the passengers are held responsible for what other crimes they may have been contributing to as they're in the vehicle. But again, generally only the driver faces charges for fleeing and looting.
Chief, what were the extent of your officers' injuries, and what are your thoughts on, they get hit head on, and without even, really stopping or anything, they just boom, they're out the door and they're chasing this guy?
Yeah, and again, I'm glad you're emphasizing, the importance of recognizing our officers, the courage, the commitment. Oftentimes there's a lot of adrenaline running. So with that violent impact that we all witness, despite that, they still, as I always say, stay in the game or stayed in the fight. Got out of that vehicle, because now, I'm going to tell you, they're upset. I'm going to get these individuals who caused these injuries to us and impacted our community. And so the injuries, as you know, more felt the next day with their necks, their backs, minor cuts and abrasions. But again, they're going to make a full recovery. We're very lucky with that type of impact. When you see the speeds that our officers were traveling at the time of impact, we were going about 16 miles an hour, which, again, I'm very thankful for that low speed, because you talk about momentum from 2 cars. This could have been a very different outcome. So again, I appreciate you asking about the well-being of 2 heroes for this agency.
What can you share about the 2 officers, any ages, and how long they've been on the force?
Yeah, and I kind of started my remarks off mentioning that one is 35 years old. He's a 6-year veteran of the Southfield Police Department. The other one is 24 years old. He's been with our agency for about 1 year. And that's kind of why they are in the car together. Generally, we ride 1 person per car. This person's still doing some type of training, and so they've doubled up. But as I mentioned before, they're both cadets. They started off as cadets, and then they successfully completed the cadet program, and then we sent them to the academy, and they returned as Southfield police officers.
Now, have there been any complaints about whether it was these, I guess possibly these 2 gentlemen running around and stealing other tires, other parts off cars prior to this? Was this a part of the chain of theirs, or was it just a one night, just happened to be they got popped?
No, we believe it's a pattern and also a crew. And that's kind of why I mentioned the Oakland County Auto Theft Task Force. They have a really dynamic sergeant, a great leader, who's come on and really took Oakland County Auto Theft Task Force to the next level of accountability, of persistence. When I say persistence, and it's kind of answering your question. We look at these individuals, what their histories are, what vehicles they like to drive, and then we start putting together modus operandi to see what other crimes that they're associated with. So yes, we believe that they're involved in other crimes outside of Southfield as well. And so that's why it's a conglomerate of officers from the Tri-County area, so we can pull all these different resources together and have better intelligence on these suspects. And there's many different crews out here. I mentioned before, there's so much market for car parts and cars that a lot of individuals are doing this across Southeast Michigan. And that's why we communicate very well with the sheriffs, Michigan State Police, Detroit Police, Farmington Hills, all the surrounding areas, so that we stay in tune and that we share information on suspects. All right. Anything else?
Just a quick question. So what happens to the automotive places that buy the stolen parts? You guys able to track any of that?
Yeah, and that's part of the work of the MSP, also our auto theft. If we find that these aftermarket places are receiving these stolen parts, there is accountability that goes with that as well. You've seen in some of the other communities where there have been chop shops and things that have been discovered and dismantled. So that investigation continues in that realm. But we are paying attention of where these cars are going. For example, we interview these individuals. They talk more than you think they talk. They play tough on TV, but they do let us know when their back is against the wall where we can be led to other individuals to take the lights off them. And I'll leave it at that. All right. All right. There's nothing else. I appreciate you all. Thank you.